Okay, so the 5 main points of social emotional are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. And just reading those as an educator, you can self-define what they mean, but I'm going to go through each one and have an idea of what they mean. So self-awareness, right now, I want you to think, how do you define it? And what are the main points that are associated with it? So just grab a piece of paper and jot those down, talking about self-awareness. And how does it relate to the students? How does it relate to you as self-awareness of yourself? Then jot down 2 or 3 points. Just very quickly jot those down. So to check yourself, being aware of your own emotions is what self-awareness is, your own emotions. And also knowing how that's going to affect you. And that's why people are very successful in relationships when they understand themselves. They know how they're going to react in a certain position, or they know when they go here, they're going to act differently, or they have to manage themselves to act differently. So just being aware of your own feelings, your own emotions, and knowing how that's going to affect you. And then looking to improve and grow based on those if you want to. I mean, maybe it's something you understand and you're proud of and you like it. Being self-aware, but knowing yourself. Okay, so let's do it now with self-management. How would you define self-management, and what are the main points associated with it? I'll give you about 30 seconds to define it. And give you another 20, 30 seconds to kind of jot down some main points. So self-management, you can think of it as like the 5 breaths, taking 5 deep breaths, or contact awareness. So as soon as I know that I'm getting upset about something, it's touch, it's contact. So you're touching something. A lot of times when people are stressed out with driving, or their mind is racing, grabbing the steering wheel or grabbing the shifter, you can help to manage and control those emotions. And also, if you're managing yourself, you know how to manage stress. You know how to set goals. I read this book once about, I can't even remember what it was called. That's really helpful for you guys, I'm sure. But the book was about like overeating and stress and that kind of stuff. So like if you're overly stress eating, or why are you overeating, and just kind of understanding that. And I read the whole book, and what I got from it was that as long as I understand what I'm going through at that time, I'm like, oh, why am I deciding to eat 3 Twinkies right now? Oh, if I eat 3 Twinkies, am I hungry for 3 Twinkies? I don't think anyone's ever hungry for 3 Twinkies, but why am I eating those 3 Twinkies? And then I look at that and I go, oh, I'm getting stressed out because Christmas is coming up and I'm not ready. I don't have the gifts wrapped. My family's going to be coming over the house. You know, and you start thinking about these things. You start to spiral into that hyperventilation feeling of what's going on. And then you start to understand, oh, I'm eating 3 Twinkies. I need to sit down and reflect on how I really truly feel about that. And then whatever thing you do to manage that stress helps. So whether it's writing in a journal, whether it's meditating or yoga, or sitting in the corner in your classroom and taking some deep breaths, or focusing on a word in the classroom. It's not a discipline. It's not sitting in the corner with a dunce cap and reflecting on your behavior. It's understanding yourself and being mindful of that. So I think self-management is that mindfulness put to work. Social awareness, super important right now, because social awareness, sometimes we push our thoughts and growing up tactics that we've learned over the years. and apply it to other social situations. And that's not always the case. So right now, hopefully you've already started writing down, how do you define social awareness, and then put some main points connected to that. Give you a couple seconds here to write down what you think social awareness is. And then the main points with it. Just getting you thinking about these things. Probably ridiculous for me to do this in a YouTube series without me here with you physically or live, but just want you to start thinking about social awareness. And then basically it's empathizing with others, understanding them. You can't project your response to a situation on other people and be like, oh, I don't know why he's so upset with that. I've missed, struck out millions of times in my life. Why would he be so upset? It could be different for that person, and understanding how they feel, empathizing with them, understanding that they have different emotions. We also need to make the students aware of different societal and ethical situations that are in the world, and helping them understand and not confine them to one thought and one idea about that, but understanding society and understanding how they should act in society and in social circumstances. Relationship skills, that kind of continues on with that, because if we understand society, then we can build skills to be able to move out there. So how do you define those relationship skills, and what are the main points associated with relationship skills? So relationship skills is talking about healthy relationships. How are you going to build those? How are you going to understand the diversity in those? The famous saying is opposites attract. Well, if opposites attract, then we need to understand ourselves, that self-awareness, and then that social awareness of other people. We put that together, and then we build these relationship skills, and being able to manage ourselves and be able to understand that person and make a connection with that person, but then also being able to be empathetic of that person because we understand them and we do know them. So creating a healthy relationship based on diverse feelings, diverse emotions, listening, working together, cooperating. And you're going to see in the next series that a lot of the things you already do in class could be enhanced with social emotional things to help them move through that project better. And you'll see that in the playlist that's going to be about the social emotional integration ideas. Also, with the relationship skills, understanding nonconformity, don't conform to those negative examples. Don't fit into that. And when I was little, I grew up in a very opinionated household in Midwest, Northwest Ohio. And when I went off and went to college, you start to see things and you start to notice that there's other people out there. I went to a different state. I went to a bigger city, and then I went on to teach, and I learned different things through different kids in different areas. And I've taught in 3 different school districts, and I've taught adults, and I've been to several different universities and taken part in those. And you understand that as your world grows, you have to stretch that way that you were raised or you thought was the right way, and so a lot of times I didn't want to conform to the things that I thought were true when I was growing up. And so you kind of just have to stop and listen and hear everything, hear all the points, and then adhere to what you feel is good based on that. Manage yourself based on the things that you find to be true through that listening and through that learning. In responsible decision making. So after you learn all those things, it's a cyclical process. We can make responsible decisions. So how would you define responsible decision making? and what are the main points associated with that? So responsible decision making, this was the thing that was being taught when, oh, Jesus, probably 20 years ago. I was teaching kids, and I can still see the poster in my room where it's like, you're making good decisions. Um, we need to define that for the students. They have to define it for themselves. They have to understand what is a good decision, what is going to make that a better decision. So how do we react in social situations? How do we personally behave when in certain situations? So we need to be aware of that, both of those things, and how we're going to make a decision of what we do based on that. We have to understand consequences and actions, and not just consider yourself, but others. And there are times in our lives where we understand, right now I have to take care of myself. I'm going to consider everybody else, but what is the right decision to make? Is it the decision to do the thing that I think is best for me and my family, or is it the thing that's going to benefit that other person across from me? And these themes are in movies and books and television series all the time, where we're forced to make that decision of, well, do I take care of my needs right now, or do I look out for the other man? Do I empathize and think about that other person and consider where they are at this moment? Okay, so those are the 5 main points connected to social emotional. I'm um, really happy that we got to talk about it. I mean, it's of course all of these are defined, and if you Google social and emotional learning, it's nuts out there, the resources that you're going to find. But always look within yourself. Just go through the social emotional process of learning social emotional, and reflect on how it feels for you. Now, I've gone over the definition. I've gone over this entire series. This one's going to be, I think, 2 main videos and 1 introductory video. But basically, what you need to now do is move on to the next series that's going to tell you how to use that in your classroom. How do I interject that into my instruction? How do I help my students understand themselves socially, emotionally, through this book that I have to teach, or this lesson that they have to learn, or this science experiment that they have to move through? So you just helping understand the social emotional and what it is. And you might even already have some ideas of how you want to put it into your teaching, write it into your lesson plans. But if you feel the need, move on to the second playlist, where I'm going to go through each of those 5 aspects, and I'm going to offer you 3 tools. At minimum, I'm going to offer you 3 tools. You all know how I teach. I kind of go off on a tangent. I go nuts, and I'd be like, and this tool. But there are a million tools that you can use. But you're going to be introduced to 15 tools. I don't repeat any of them, to help you engage your students in social emotional learning.